What's up, family, and welcome to the Me, Myself, and podcast. I'm so excited for you guys to be joining us today. We are back in action. We took a little hiatus,
but we are back. I'm so excited to have you guys with us today. This is our business month. We are starting our business month, and I'm so excited to be starting it. Our first guest here is Pastor Gene Herndon. He is a multiple entrepreneur. He is a pastor. He is a whole list of things that we are going to cover today. Again, he is the information that we're going to share today. People pay for this information, so the fact that we get to have him here live with us, I am just so elated that he even accepted us to do this. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring him in. Here we are here, Pastor Herndon. How are we doing today?
I am blessed, brother. How are you?
Man, I am doing good. Again, I want to thank you for even coming on the show. Like I said, you are a celebrity in my eyes. You know, when I grow up, I want to be like you. You know, like you. My wife adores your wife and your kid. I mean, I just love your whole family. It is complete honor to have you on our show, man.
You do know my child is the celebrity. I'm just her dad.
You you know, I have found that out with having my own daughter, that people don't even greet you no more. They greet the kids first, and they be like, "Oh, hi now." Like, you're just kind of left in the dust.
You're just an after effect. Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay, don't give me no credit. I didn't do nothing. You know, like, they take up the whole show. But they want to feed him candy and stuff. But then they want to give him back to you. Like, no, take him. You like him so much, take him with you. Give me a break. Give me a break. So
I sure do appreciate you having me on here. It's a blessing to me.
Yeah, man, it's great. The content that you have and that you're going to be sharing with us, I know is going to impact somebody's business for the better. So, I mean, and as we open up here, just give us a little brief overview about yourself and kind of the business ventures that you've started in, and we'll just go from there.
Well, I started the church probably about, I think we're going on our 13th year in the church, but I have been in business really off and on self-employed since I was probably about 18. I started in real estate, made it to really the top in terms of percentile in the industry, particularly for my company. And then I got into IT, information technology, got back into real estate when I got into Arizona. Had several businesses along the way, sold businesses. You know, some did well, some obviously didn't do so well. It's been an entrepreneur's roller coaster, if you will, for me. But in terms of then realizing that I was called and thinking that the two could never mix together. In other words, I thought I had to give away all business and just go into pastoring. But then I began to realize that you can do both, and you can have businesses and you can pastor. And really, the businesses have helped me to be free to preach and to do the things I need to do without being concerned about the idea that I can't say certain things because I'll be afraid people will leave. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so now having the financial freedom where I'm not dependent upon the church, I'm able to preach it as God gives it, which has really just been a blessing for me. So it's been very, very helpful for me and obviously for my life to continue down this road. So it's been exciting.
And I like how you said that there. So, like, with your entrepreneur mindset, did that start when you were young, or when did you kind of like hit that mind frame, like, I want to do business and this is what I want to do, like, full time and like help people succeed?
It's interesting because I started when I was a kid. I used to sell candy in school, and I was doing very well. And I was doing so well, the principal pulled me in his office and said, "The only way you're allowed to sell candy is if you're selling it for the school for a fundraiser." And I was probably 11, 12 years old, and I was making a couple $100s a week off of
On just
selling.
candy? Just-
And so my mom forced me. She's like, "If you're going to do this, you got to put the money in the bank." So she taught me how to, save the money. And I mean, it was interesting. And then of course, when the school got involved, I shut it down because
yeah,
I'm not going to give you
I'm not working for free here.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? This ain't what this is. Uh,
Yeah.
and so, so it started at a very young age, shoveling
Mhm.
snow, which, I don't know. In Arizona, we don't have that problem, but
You don't have snow. We got hail. A little bit of
right,
hail.
right, right,
That's all we get. A
right.
little bit of hail. That's all we get.
Well,
Where'd you grow up at? Where are you
mowing
born at?
lawns, shoveling snow, doing different things like that. That's how we made money as kids.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, in Arizona, you don't get that. The most you could do is mow someone's yard. That's it, because you don't have snow, you don't have leaves. You can't really clean up. You can't really clean up
Exactly.
nothing. So,
And a
like,
lot of people don't even have a yard.
yeah, not married. And if they do, it's rocks because they don't want to do landscaping.
That's it. That's
So,
it.
like, do you have anything that was instilled in you when you first started that you still practice now? Like, as you were selling candy bar, like any practice that you've like still done with your business that's been like, this is like successful, and I've really kept doing this with every single business venture.
Buy low and sell high.
I like that.
That's it. I mean, and that applies to everything from real
Hmm.
estate to, I mean, anything. It's always buy low and sell high. But I think the one thing, honestly, that has stuck with me is to always have a mentor. Always.
Do you have the same mentor for every business, or does every business have a different mentor?
Depends on the business. Like my spiritual father is my spiritual father, period. And
Hmm.
he is also an entrepreneur. And so there's a connection there. However, there are other people, sometimes specific to that business that are in my life. Because, the Bible says you have many teachers, but you don't have many fathers. You don't have
Yeah.
real people who are committed to you. And that's where you're you're fortunate, you're blessed if you have someone who's willing to share certain things with you that really are the inside secrets, if you will. And so overall, I only have one, and that's for every aspect of my life. However,
Really?
then in different businesses, I have different people that I can relate to or reach out to because they have more knowledge than I do. There's two ways to see what a T-bone steak looks like. You can either ask the butcher, or you can stick your head in the cow's behind. I'm not doing the cow's behind. So
I'm not doing that.
you know
I'm
what I'm
with you.
saying?
I'm not doing that.
That's it.
Oh man, that I like that. And I think a lot of people think that mentors are just there to help you in life, but I think, like you said, I don't think a lot of people have actual business mentors. Because a lot of people are like, I have a mentor in life, but I don't really look for someone that has a mentor in business. Like, I have a business, but I don't have a mentor. But now that you said that, I should get a mentor, because I'm thinking it's just, on life, just for life purposes. So with your mentor, are you like throwing business ideas around with that? Or kind of how does that relationship work? You just talking about day to day? And are they on the same, let's say, business mind frame as you are? Or like, kind of how does that go?
They have to be in front of you.
Okay.
A lot of times people don't realize that anybody who's going to be a mentor has to have already been there, and they have to have already done that. And it may not be that specific business, but they need to have the foresight and the anointing to be ahead of you. Sometimes there are people who have, they're well meaning, but
Mhm.
they don't have the experience. They don't have the insight that is necessary to see further down the road. And so sometimes it's a monthly thing. Sometimes I have a situation, shoot a text message. What do you think about this? Sometimes it could be 6 months before, you ever have a conversation. Um, I think when you follow closely, you begin to pick up on things from people who are designed to help you in your life. See, there's really three things that a mentor should do, and Prince, the artist Prince,
Mhm.
said one thing that I thought was extremely profound. He said, "Your mentor is never on your payroll, never,
Wow.
because people that you reach out to have to be able to help you do three things. They've got to help you develop your gift, they got to help you design your life, and they got to help you disturb your complacency. And People on your payroll can never do that. People who are above, who are a little further along in the race for you, are people who can help you to see I'm complacent and I got to disrupt that. Here's how you develop your gift. Here's how you design your life. And so when you have people that are in that category, it's just a different relationship.
Yeah, I like how you said that they have to be, they have to be, forward ahead of you. And I think with having a mentor like that, they can kind of guide you in missing mistakes that they made already. I'm a
Exactly.
firm believer that books are your greatest knowledge. I think books can, save you a lot of trouble. Like you may have not gone to school to 4 years, but someone did and wrote a book about it. You can get that same knowledge that they did, in 4 years in a book. But it's like, are you going to take the time to actually apply yourself and better yourself, with your business and reading that book? So when you were starting, like, have you ever dealt with like complacency, like, okay, my business isn't like it's not shooting, it's not going where I want it to go, or it's not gaining the attraction I want it to go, or like how did that kind of go, like with you, like keep going forward even though your business kind of staying stagnant?
Never forget why you started in the first place. You have to always keep that in mind. If I took this my computer and I spanned this room, you would see bookcases. I'm all about books. I'm all about studying and learning books. I have a huge library because I've learned that a whole lifestyle, a whole lifetime can be put into one book that I can read and learn what this person has done for their whole life. And I can get it literally by reading their book. And so keeping myself in that place of always studying, always learning, and then bouncing that against why I started in the first place. And that's what keeps me motivated, keeps me pushing. And so I think one of the greatest problems today, if I could just be honest, is self
Mm-hmm.
evaluation. I think people think that you can get it by straight grit. You can just, muscle it out and power it through. And the truth of the matter is that the Bible says to whet the edge of an axe so that the work is lighter. In other words, sharpen the saw. If you got a dull saw, man, you can swing it and swing it and swing it. And it's going to be so heavy on you and such a burden on you that you'll really forget why you're there in the first place. And a lot of times you got to back up and say, okay, this is where I was really going. This is why I did this in the first place. And a lot of times by doing that, it gets you out of the situation. Because I've noticed, because I mentor a lot of Christian business owners through not only through the weekly leader cast that we do, but I also deal with different master classes that we put together for people to kind of help them catapult their business and stuff. But one of the greatest things that I have learned is you have to stop working in your business. And at times you got to start working on your business. And so many people can get lost in the actual day to day function that they forget all about working on it because they're so busy working in it. And I think to speak to your question, um, you always have to have a regular intervals of backing away and reassessing why am I doing this? What is the purpose behind it? And what exactly am I trying to accomplish and why?
Wow. Okay, I'm out here taking notes myself. This is, guys. This is not just for y'all. It's for me as well. I'm leaving all this information as well. Um, I like what you said, that you kind of take a break from actually, in like doing your job, doing your business, to actually like working on your business. I know for me personally, a lot of people, we're in the trenches of it, and it's like we're like continually working in the business, but we never stop to actually work on the business. So how do you kind of break that down? Like, like how much should you be working in your business? How much should you be working on your business, so that when it comes full fruition, it's not that you've working for 20 years, but you have nothing to show for it. Like your
Right.
business is still growing. You're not just down
Right.
there just, doing everything yourself.
The key to scale is the idea behind when you first start a business, you do everything. You're the chief cook, you're the bottle washer, you sweep the floors, you do every single thing. And then what you are looking to do is to begin to generate enough business that you can start to hire some people. And then you start taking pieces of your business, systematizing it, and getting it off your plate onto other people. And then you move into a stage of management. When you're in the stage of management, you are really starting to produce, but you're also kind of doing some level of overseeing, and you're doing a small amount of vision. And then as you go to the next step, you're looking now for people who can manage, and you stay primarily in that vision state of directing the ship where it's supposed to go. So, to answer your question, when you first start out, you're not going to be able to spend a lot of time on vision, maybe 20% of your time, 10% on vision. You're really just trying to establish the base. You need something to build on. And then the second stage, you move to, about 30 to 40% of your time is where are we going? And the 60% is actually physically getting there. And then you reach a point where you want to try to spend 80% of your time directing the ship as to where it's going, and you have other people that begin to do the process and make it happen. And so so to answer to your question is, depending on what stage you're in, the amount of time spent changes because of the trajectory of where you are. Does that make sense?
Wow. Yeah, no, it does. And now, when you were talking about different stages, how do you determine what stage you're at? Is it based on a monetary growth? Is it based on a personal growth? Like, how do you know you've reached like almost like the management state or a different state? Are you basing that off money wise, or how are you basing that off of? Or will like your mentor should be telling you when you're reaching these next stages?
No, you would know because it depends on how much work people, a lot of people say, "Oh, I own a business," right? But if you can't walk away and that business will run, you don't, and that's where you begin to realize what stage you're in. In other words, if you can go away for a month and your business runs exactly the way it's supposed to, nothing changes, no sales slip, everything's running, you're not killing yourself wherever you are, then you actually have a true business. And now you're in the stage where you're working on vision primarily all the time. If your business requires you to be present, then you're still in that emerging stages of development. And basically, what you're going to do is you quit your way to the top. Everything that's on your plate, you figure out how to quit it. And you don't quit it by abandoning, you quit it by delegation. And you're
Wow.
finding different people that can handle, all those pieces. And now you start finding that, okay, I did 10 things every single day. Now I'm only doing 5. And that's how you would gauge as you were in your growth. How much do you actually have to do? And one of the things people don't always take into consideration is technology can help you do. It's not always just hiring people. It's understanding, technology and how you can bring some of those things in on the cheap, if you will, that will
Yeah.
kind of automate certain processes and certain things. And just to give you an example, just your mouse, just the actual mouse, and speeding it up as to how it moves across your screen.
Mm-hmm.
It may not make that much of sense in a minute worth of time. When you think about over an entire year of how much faster things are, you
Yep.
have to think like that. You've got to think. I try to get a new MacBook at least every 2 years. Why? Because I need it to be faster. I don't have time to hit a button and sit there and wait for it to catch up to where
To
I am.
catch up. Yeah.
And so, as you think about all the different things with technology and all the things you do, you learn to be more efficient, and that helps you to free you up to know where to begin to build to the next stages of your business. Does that make sense?
No, perfect sense. Especially the whole mouse analogy. That's a key for a lot of people. And I listened to, like I said, I was listening to one of your shows, and I remember you were saying that you really shouldn't be working with family members. And I think a lot of people, when they first start out with businesses, they start with family members. So if you can just give us a brief, a brief synopsis of what you were talking about on that show. I'm definitely gonna link that in the bottom, because that whole little 5-minute segment will change your entire outlook on working with family.
How do you fire your mama? I mean, you know what I'm
Literally.
saying? I mean, just and here's the thing: families are run on loyalty, and businesses are run on trust. And so the problem with loyalty is when a business is run on loyalty, you get the group think. You get everybody feels the same way because you're not able to bring in new people that have new ideas. And so if you build, a lot of times people say, "Oh, we're just family," even if they're not family, right? They got a business and they're like, "Oh, we're all just family." No, we're not all family. We're a team. Just so you know, we will cut, we will fire, and hire as needed. Because
Mm.
if I tell you we're a family, how do you fire your mama? How do you promote your brother over your sister? So, yes, we start there. We start with what is called the 3S, right? Friends, fools, and family. But at what point do you move beyond? You have to always be looking to move beyond that,
Mm.
um, because you have to bring in outside people because you need a different viewpoint. You need somebody who thinks a little bit differently. Now, don't get me wrong. When it comes to your wife, when it comes to your husband, um, you want to find ways to work together as a business. But I'm talking about when you've gone beyond a husband and wife situation and you are going out into other areas of the family. The problem is familiarity is always an issue.
Yeah.
So when you want to do something and they see you as somebody they grew up with, it's going to be hard for them to submit to what you've asked for. And make no mistake about it, familiarity always breeds contempt, always.
Whew.
So you have to be very careful with people who are too familiar, particularly when you're dealing with family. Can it be done? It can, but it's very, very difficult. And this is why, statistically speaking, second generation and third generation businesses fail at an alarming rate because they don't have what the person who started it has.
Wow. So, and how you brought up working with your spouse, how was that with you? Because I know you own multiple businesses, and you're also a pastor of a church. How has it been working with your wife? Because I mean, she's also your first lady. I'm pretty sure she's with a couple business with you. How is that? How do you differ the working relationship, but she's also your wife as well? How does that kind of go?
I couldn't do it without her. The reason why I have the ability to do all the things that I do, I couldn't do it without her. She's one of those people that are like, what do we have to do and how do we have to do it? And then let's get it done. And that really works well in a lot of ways with me because she's a lot softer than I am. I'm real go, 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 go. She has the ability to pull me aside and say, okay, we got to tone this down some. We got to take a break. We got to do some me time. So she really helps me in so many ways because she'll gear up and go. If I say
Yeah.
we got to do something, she will gear up and go. But she also helps me to balance it all out and to remind me that I am also the husband. I'm also the dad, which is my first responsibilities. Um, and the other side of that too, I think sometimes people like in their homes, they don't have designated spaces. In other words, I've worked from home even when I was in corporate America. I worked from home and traveled all over the country. I had an office with a door, and everything work related stayed in that office. So when I closed that door, it was like me leaving the office and coming home. And it's a hat switch to where I become husband and dad past that doorway. And
That's
so
the door.
even now, my office, I close that door, I'm done. I don't take my computer to my bedroom. I don't take my computer rarely to the couch. I don't bring this stuff outside of this room. And that allows us to kind of flip the hats like you're asking, where we are family outside this door.
And see, and I think a lot of people, especially now with COVID, a lot of businesses that you all work from home. So a lot of people, they don't have designated space for work. So they work in their living room, they work in their bedroom, they work different places. So it's like the whole house becomes work. So everywhere you go, it's like work, 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 work.
Right.
And it's like you
Right.
don't mean it to
And
happen,
you know
but
what's
it's like
funny?
you don't have that.
You know
Go ahead.
what's really funny?
Mm-hmm.
Before this whole telecommuting thing and working from home became a big deal, and I'm talking 10, easily 10, 15 years ago, the people that worked for me that worked from home always put in more hours than the people who work 9 to 5. And we knew that. So we wanted people to work from home. A lot of people thought, oh, it's a privilege to work from home. No, it really isn't. It's like an all day, every day.
It's actually a lot more discipline, actually,
Yes. Yes,
to get it from home.
exactly. And so understanding how to create those spaces, understanding even down to devices. Um, certain devices that I have don't have access to certain things. This is for business, and this is all it's for. And so I don't allow my life to become like spaghetti. My life is
Mm-hmm.
like boxes because there's no way you can do all that you have to do if everything starts to run together.
That makes sense. Yeah, I like that. And with you as your own business, when you were first starting out, when you were looking for people to work for you, what was the one thing that they must have had to had or to obtain in order to be, an employee for you?
Grit. They got to be able to fight. I don't care if you make mistakes. I don't care if uh, you know, you're not the most skilled person. I need to know that when all proverbial hell has broken loose, that you are going to stand and shoot that gun that way. As long as you are not going to run when things get tough, I can deal with you. It's hard. The number one skill, and they just did an article about this. They said the number one skill that in the workplace is really not talent, it's grit. Can you stay with it? Can you stick to it when things aren't looking good? Can you still go to battle, or are you somebody that falls to pieces? And so for me, it really is all about grit. Can you stay with it? If you're one of those ones that are going to quit, we do a master class where we bring Christian business owners into a room, and I personally spend time with them for 2 days, teaching them various things. One of the things that we deal with is hiring people. And we talk about the concept of when you bring somebody on, you got to load them up. A lot of times people are afraid to give them stuff. They're like, well, let me give them time to learn, give them time to
Mm-hmm.
train. Nah, man, load them up, load them up, load them up, and load them up. Because what you're testing for is if you're going to quit, I need you to quit in the first week.
Not when you're already in it. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Right.
I need to know this in the first week.
Yeah, I need you to
if you
quit
can
now.
handle it.
So I need
Yeah.
to test you for your grit. I need to test you to know, are you really going to stay with it? And then, like I said, in that masterclass, we teach people how to hire the process. So you kind of weed out a lot of the fluff because believe it or not, the statistic is for every bad hire will cost you between two to $300,000 for every bad hire you make. And that's not just their salary. That's opportunity cost. That is missed business because you are dealing with their craziness. That
Mm-hmm.
is your time that's wasted trying to bring them up to speed and get them up to par. They said between $200,000 to $300,000 for every bad hire. And so imagine as a small business owner, you can't afford to be hiring the wrong people, especially when
That's
you
time
need
wasted.
them to ramp up.
Yeah.
And if you're going to hire an A player is should be able to do what three people can do. So that's the beautiful part about spending the time to vet the proper people, because if you get a good person, they're going to help your business grow. So it's almost like they have a built-in payment plan where when you
Yeah.
bring them on, if they are really good, they're going to bring value to the business and cause the business to grow, which means eventually they actually pay for themselves, and they do it a lot faster if you hire the right people. One of the biggest problems that I've noticed is that people struggle with getting good people. And it's because they've got a bad system. Because what they do is they hire to the pain and not to the plan. You know how it is, right? What they do is they're
Mm-hmm.
tired. They're like, I'm exhausted. I don't want to do this anymore. And they
Someone
just
take it
look for
from me.
anybody. They're like, if you can leave fog on a mirror, I'm going to hire you.
Yeah. Just to take some work off my back. Which then again, like you said, you end up losing money because you're not looking for that. You're just looking for someone to actually do this for you. And when it comes to employees, I know for a lot of small businesses, they don't have the capacity to hire individuals. So what is your preference or thought process on bringing someone in, say, as like an intern, as a volunteer to help you with your business, and then converting them to an employee once you have the capacity? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
There's three things I usually tell people. One, um, start with technology. Technology is usually the cheapest way. You can get apps, you can get certain things, might cost you $10, $15 a month. Research your business processes and then find better technology to make it easier to manage and to run. That's the cheapest thing to do. The second thing to do is to look at a virtual assistant. And there are many companies that have VAs. You're going to pay a little more per hour, but when you get a higher skilled person, they can do more in an hour. So when you literally um, you're bringing in, let's say, a virtual assistant for 10 hours a week. Yeah, you're going to pay, 15, $20 an hour for that person. However, that person is going to be able to bring way greater value than trying to jump off with a full-time person. And so then the third thing is, after you've exhausted some of those avenues, then you bring in a part-time person and you begin to offload the things that are your lowest priority. See, as a leader, you got to have a list of what your priorities really are. What moves the needle? What makes the thing happen? And then everything that is not your key priority, you got to find another way to do it. You got to, and to be honest with you, there are some things you don't need to do at all. They're not even moving the needle. And
Yeah.
so just through self-assessment, you can start to say, okay, I can get better technology. These are all inexpensive things to do. Why am I doing this? It's like in church, right? Sometimes in church, you'll have a program where it's like, you know, Sister so and so comes to the 5 o'clock Bible study every Tuesday, but she's the only one there. So everybody is doing this thing just for her because they don't want to make her mad. The reality is the juice is not worth the. So Sister so and so is going to have to join everybody else, and we cut because this thing is not producing and that dog is not hunting. And so now we have to learn what things are we doing that we really shouldn't be doing or we're wasting time. And that creates
Wow.
efficiencies in everything that we do. So you kind of just step it through to, ramping up to now I've got a full-time person and then you just start going again. But the reality is some of this you're going to have to do by faith.
Taking that step out on faith. Yeah, yeah, that makes perfect sense. We have a question from Michael. He says, question: do you expect them to do three people's worth of work, or they just do it?
Um, I don't, I don't expect anybody to do anything. I inspect what they do to see what it is that they bring to the table. So, in other words, if they are a person who is always counting the hours and the it's 5 o'clock is quitting time and 5:01 they're already in their car. Well, how did you get from quitting time to your car in 1 minute? You must have stopped before the end of the day to get transitioned into that. You can tell people who count the time, and the reality is you can't build with people like that. So oftentimes through the screening process, and you if you screen them properly, if you vet them properly, you're going to find people who are not committed to the time, they're committed to the outcome. And that's what you want. You want people who don't care. The time is not the issue anymore. It's how do I produce the outcome? And for me, it's very simple. If you can produce the outcome that I need, and it's not an 8 hour day, I don't care. If you can do it in two, knock yourself out. You got 6 hours to do whatever you want to do. I am never connected to time. I'm connected to outcomes. And when you learn to connect those things to people who produce the outcome, you know that you want to be able to see what three people can do out of this one person. It's not so much that you give them three jobs, it's more you're watching what their output is and what they can handle. And you're using that as a benchmark to determine whether you are dealing with an A player. Because what
Wow.
happens is, and it's called the bozo effect. If you hire a bunch of B players, typically B players don't want other A players because they feel threatened. So B players will always seek out C players. So now what happens is your organization keeps going down because you have the wrong people. I'm telling you, as long as I've been in business, 90% of business problems are really recruiting problems in disguise.
Wow.
It's just the
Wow.
wrong people.
Those wrong people. Wow.
Yep.
He said awesome.
And
Thank you for answering that there. What's it called? And kind of to flip the script here, on the opposite side, what do you think is it takes? Because I always believe in knowing your audience, knowing knowing who you're trying to attract. So can you speak on that and kind of expound on like what it really means to know your audience for your business? I think a lot of people, they'll like, I kind of use like a Facebook ad. They'll do a Facebook ad, but they won't put on target audience. They just want the views. Well, you can have 50 people viewing it, but 50 people don't need your product. Maybe only one of them people actually really need your product. So I think a lot of time is wasted on getting your stuff out there, but you're not really getting results because you don't know your audience.
it's funny. It's funny you say that because one of the things that in the masterclass that we do is we teach exactly what you just said. The problem is there are people who don't know their audience. There's also people who do know their audience but don't know how to speak to their audience. And so it's like you said, I'm not interested in being Facebook famous. I don't care how many likes and shares. That stuff means absolutely nothing. If it doesn't translate to the bottom line, all we doing is faking. And so
Yep.
what we have to do, for example, um, we had we had a client of ours that was in our class, and they were asking about doing things concerning a wedding. And it's like, what do people want when they have a wedding? And the answer was they want, they want the food to be this, they want this, all the details of the wedding. And I'm like, no, they don't. The real thing that a person wants with their wedding is to show off. See, there are six basic emotions that drive everything. And when you learn what those emotions are, what those buttons are, that's how you speak to people. And so if you're not speaking to the real issue, you can talk about how great your product is. But if you haven't really shown them why it's important and really what it means to you and how it meets your needs, then you're not gauging or garnering their attention in a way that makes them ready to buy. And so
Yep.
it's awareness. Okay, people are aware that I have a business, but they're not making the decision to actually say, I want to do business with you because you speak my language. And so, how to explore that, and I'm going to give you just a couple ways to do it.
Mm.
If you have any customers at all, go to your customers that you've already done business with and say, listen, I don't want anything from you. I just want to hear, why did you choose me? I want to hear, what were you going
Wow.
through when you chose me? And let them know straight off the bat, I don't want nothing from you. Take them out to lunch, send them a gift card, Starbucks for $5, whatever you got to do, but get that information and don't paraphrase it. Write it down the way they said it. Because once you hear their language, you will begin to understand the emotion behind what they are doing or why they made a decision. Because make no mistake about it, people always buy with emotion, and they support it or validate it with logic. Nobody logically makes decisions. People go to a car dealership and they see a car. Ooh, I love it. It might not be the best mileage. It might not be really fitting of what you need, but you fall in love with it because of the emotion. And then when you go tell all your friends why you bought that car, you'll start quoting facts. It has this kind of gas mileage. It has this stuff, this, and it does this, and it has all of this. But that was not why you bought that car. You bought it because you fell in love with it.
Fell in
And
love with it.
so,
Yep.
and so hearing what people say, their language is now your marketing materials. That's your language. Because here's what you have to do. Every business owner has to sleep with your clients. In other words, I don't mean literally sleep with your client. I mean, there is something that your client goes to sleep at night thinking about, and they're going to wake up in the morning thinking about it. And so, whatever it is that causes them, or the last thing they're thinking about before they go to bed and when they wake up, that's the thing you have to speak to. You have to help them understand how your product resolves that problem. And if you can get into their head and really get clear about what conversation is going on here, you'll get their attention every time.
That's good. And as we wrap up here, kind of a last question for you here. In your sense, what is more important, gaining a new client or having a return client?
That's a tough one because what is cheaper is
True.
keeping your current clients and turning them into advocates so that they will become soldiers to go out and capture new clients. That's really the sweet spot. New business has a cost associated with it. New business has time associated with it. Nothing wrong with new business because you have to get new business, but you have to learn the technique, the art of turning your current clients into such raving fans. Because what will happen is people will do business with you because someone said so that they trust and love. And when that person comes to you, they're less of a headache. It's proven statistically, they're less of a headache. They spend more money with you, and they don't quabble about your pricing when they come that way. So every business owner has to actually have not just old clients and new clients, but they've got to look at there's three sources of revenue. There are your existing clients that can come back with existing products or new products, and you take care of those. Then you have how do I turn them into such raving fans? It's the difference between a patriot and a mercenary. A mercenary,
Ah,
you got to pay them to protect you. A patriot will give their life to protect you, whether you pay them or not. So, what you have to learn how to do is turn your existing clients into patriots for your business so that they will actually recommend and share and talk about what you do. And now they are getting you referral business, which again is a great untapped source of business that most small business owners don't leverage properly. Then
yeah.
the next thing you do is you've got to have an engine that gets new business. And that new business has got to be consistent. So that's where you continue to grow. So when you operate those three profit centers, you then find that you are able to deal with better clients. I can't tell you how many small business owners are dealing with clients they can't stand, but they're putting up with it because they're paying money.
Because they're paying money.
But what happens when you have so much business that you're able to take your high maintenance people, because there's high maintenance, low output
Yeah.
clients, and you're like, you know what? Go find
It ain't worth
somebody
it.
else. Love you,
Yeah.
appreciate you, but I can work two clients in the time that it takes me to deal with you. So you
Yeah.
work those three different avenues correctly, and you start to see exponential types of growth.
Wow. That's good. And guys, this is covered and more in the class that he has. And remind me of the name again. Leader Shift, right?
Yes, leadership success masterclass.
Masterclass. Yes, he just had one. I think about a couple weeks ago, actually. And you will be having another one. Is that correct? Soon,
December 3rd and the 4th.
December 3rd and the 4th. So, how can they get signed up for this? Like, so we can plug them in because this is a lot of free information that they can get some more of, in greater wealth and knowledge.
The free we do a free weekly leader cast. If we keep it short to 5 minutes, where we share a biblical principle and we teach you how to apply it. That's every week. It's totally free. You just go to m4.geneherndon.com. That's m4.geneherndon.com, and you can sign up for that. You just put your email address in. Again, it's completely free, and we send you a email every Monday morning. It's early in the morning because I'm up early, but we send it out every Monday morning, and it's a video that you can watch at your leisure, and it will teach you a biblical concept. It's kind of weekly mentoring, and then the master class. If you just do m4.geneherndon.com/LSM, you will see the information for that masterclass. And like I said, the next one is December 3rd and 4th, which is Friday and half day on Saturday. And it's also guaranteed, by the way. If you come to the masterclass and you don't see where you can double, if not triple your income, all you have to do halfway through is return your materials. The lunch is still on us. We actually give you a $200 gift card just for showing up, and we refund 100% of your money because we're that confident. I mean, it's the testimonies have been unbelievable. And if you go to that LSM page, you will find that there are testimonies on there of different business owners and what it's done. I see it looks like Marty Cruz Eatman. She's my executive assistant. Looks like she might have posted the links to it.
Yeah, I
So
pinned the link up there so that people can get this information.
yeah, so you can go to those, but we actually guarantee the result because we already know it's changed people's lives. It really has helped them to build the business that they've always dreamed of, and to get out of the rat race. You know what I mean, and to not feel the pressure of, am I going to make it tomorrow? And can I take a vacation? And is everything going to fall apart? And do I have what it takes? And how do I put all the pieces together? And when you leave there, we give you a manual, a pretty thick one actually, that gives you everything we've talked about, so that you can go back and it becomes your war chest in tools of how to continue to take it to the next level.
Man, I want to thank you again. This information is so needed. And again, guys, this was absolutely free. But go to www.m4.geneherndon.com and just find out more information about it. He has been successful in many business ventures. It's crazy to see someone manage so many businesses and they all be successful. You don't see that a lot. So that is very good. Again, Pastor Gene Herndon, I just want to thank you for coming on, man. It was definitely a pleasure having you. We're definitely going to have you back because the information you have is so much needed. I know myself, I will be attending the class in December for my own business, because what you just deposited right here in this 45 minutes has already launched me some more ideas for my business. So I can't even think what a day and a half is going to do to my business. So I thank you again for this, man. It was definitely great on having you guys here.
Thank you for having me, brother. It's a privilege on my part. And if you want to do it again, man, let me know. Don't threaten me with a good time, brother, because I'll jump in.
Definitely, guys. I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. This is Me, Myself, and Podcast, where we talk about any and everything positive. This month we're focusing on business. Next week we have another special guest where we were talking about how to market your business properly. I'm so excited for that. You can catch us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube. Stay connected with us. We always have new shows coming out every Monday right here at 7. Guys, thank you so much. You guys have a great night.